Sometimes just shut up and listen, you know. I think that's what is very important. Just shut up and listen. Sitting at home and watching an episode is a very personal thing for me, and going to the cinema hall is a community experience, and it's larger than life. Everybody said, when TV came, cinema's dead, then video came, cinema was dead, then surround sound, and LEDs came and it was dead. And I mean, it's just it's constant. So now this is that phase, and it'll change again. You can't take on any other artist. You can't take on any other storyteller. You can't take on anybody else and tell them people what to do.
For all film-related interviews, reviews, and content, please like and subscribe to Pooja Talwar. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram.
All right. Zoya and Aisha, I absolutely love Transit. I watched all in transit, all the 4 episodes in one sitting. And what I really liked, the fact was it was so emotionally layered, and it was their voice, sans any judgment or trying to evoke any pity from the viewer. It was just like unfolding as the way I'm sure you wanted to. So Zoya, first question to you, what was actually the point that you wanted to step into this storytelling, and within transit being the starting point, docu-storytelling?
No, I think we started docu storytelling with Angry Young Men. I think it kind of started there. And this came soon, around the same time, or a little later, the germ of it. And it started with Made in Heaven, to be honest. Made in Heaven season 1 was kind of the world we knew. And the overwhelming feedback we got from the LGBT community was crazy. And I think the season 2, it was honestly Alankrita's, Meher was Alankrita's idea to have this character and this girl that comes into the space. And Rima and me both agreed to do that. And then we realized we knew very little, to write a fictional character that seemed authentic, and the experience were authentic. We knew very little. So we started interviewing women. And through those interviews, we realized that we needed a space where they can tell their own stories. So that's when the germ to do this docuseries came in. We spoke with Amazon Prime, and we were exceptionally lucky that it took just one call for them to say we are interested and go for it, and then we got Aisha on, and we were very lucky that she agreed to do it, because after that it's just been easy for us. Between Amazon and Aisha, they've just done it.
Awesome. And Aisha, I mean, as I was just said in the beginning, it's so layered, emotionally layered. But how did you ensure that each individual story was told, with their voice at the center and not filtered through a lens of, judgment or pity? Because, at the end of the day, director, creator, and the viewer will get that lens in. But here I had nothing. I was just seeing it unfold, and I wanted to know more.
Firstly, thank you for that response. I hope that everybody wants or watches it with that kind of feeling. Yeah, I think we were very clear that we wanted our characters to tell their stories in their words. It was our job to structure it and bring it together and make it into episodes, and so that it's digestible. But I think we were very clear that we didn't want to use any tropes like narrator and things like this to guide them. They tell their own stories. I think that's the the power of it. I think when you hear that experience from somebody's in their own words, it's undeniable. There's no argument there. Somebody is narrating their life experience to you. So I think immediately that breaks a wall between you and the audience, because you're just hearing their stories, and I think that was interesting, because I think if you give it a perspective that somebody else is telling their story, that there's room for argument. I think this takes that out.
Absolutely. And so, it's very interesting with Tiger Baby. What I've liked is each project and story that you take up has a deeper message. So what kind of audience engagement or reaction would you want this to evoke, within transit?
I mean, we don't necessarily look to for messaging. We just look for things that we find interesting and things that have informed us or moved us or inspired us or, made us feel something. I think that to take that and then to translate how I have felt on words is, I think, the aim. I hope, you, somewhere you just want to diminish otherness right now in any capacity in the world, you know, and just look at the fact that the experience, honestly, the human experience is so similar, you know. I think that would be my biggest win if people, even had a modicum of that feeling. I think that would be our biggest win, no?
Yeah.
I,
Somewhere where
I
you see
totally,
that it's just another human being that wants the same things as you. That's it.
because there's a moment in the where she says कि उसको किन्नर उठा के ले गए, and I'm telling you a thing. My mom telling me in the 1960s, telling her classmate was someone different, and usko, she just said that usko hijde le gaye, and I was like,
Mm,
hijde kaise le gaye? Then I was
mm,
watching this, wo nahi leke gaye honge, the family must have, out of shame, just asked this girl to go. So I was just thinking about this woman must be now what, in her mid 70s. Is she okay? What is she doing? So
yeah,
I was just drawing the dots there myself.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also, uh, Asha, asking you, what is actually the biggest challenge in directing something like this? Because
I think the biggest challenge was how do we get characters to share such intimate personal stories, it takes a lot of courage on their end to be able to do that because not only are they opening up uh, their lives to us, but a lot of them face brutality and violence and sort of very challenging worlds and contexts to be able to do that. So I would say the biggest challenge was just getting our characters on board, trusting us, believing in us that we're gonna, do right by them. That's the main thing. And that remains our intention right now. Like we want to, treat the story with dignity, give them dignity, and yeah, you know.
And so, how different is actually the creative process? Because I mean, earlier in the year, we got that fabulous supervisor Maligam from you all. I mean, to the extent that we are writing, as I say, creative obituaries for theaters. We had a theater that was full and enjoying it. So I want to ask you your creative process. How does it work, and how different was it in comparison to the films that you've made and the kind of films that you've made? Because they're not a particular kind of,
Yeah, I think
larger than
each
life.
film has its own thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Each film has its own journey and its own approach. I mean, there'll be certain things that will be similar because that's your process as a filmmaker. But I mean, when I'm directing, it's a very different journey for me. Here, I'm a producer. Even on Superboys, I was a producer. So they're very different journeys. But the point is to actually, whatever you do, is to, you have to be excited about it. You have to know that you can sustain your interest in this for the next few years. You have to see it through. It has to mean something. It has to, I don't know, it's going to live longer than you. Whatever you put out is going to remain and you're going to be gone. So it should be worth something. It's a
Absolutely.
child that, yeah, it's a legacy, somewhere. So I think I just look at things like they could be lighthearted, they could be not lighthearted. Have, they should have something for someone. Even, I don't know.
But I mean, I'm sure, you're creators, part of the industry, grown up in the industry, you're also viewers. The way everyone's saying that, oh, there's something happening, is doomsday for cinema all over the world, nobody's coming. What do you think is actually the inherent cause? Because here you have an in transit, you have other stories, and audience are lapping it up. I mean, there is.
But no, that's separate conversations. One is that why are people not going to the theaters? And there are many factors for that. There's the COVID happened. With COVID, the streaming hit. There was a change of habit there. There's a cost attached to going to a multiplex today, which is unaffordable for most families. So it's all put together. But I really believe in the in cinema, and I really believe it's not an interchangeable experience. They're completely different experiences. You know, sitting at home and watching an episode is a very personal thing for me, and going to the cinema hall is a community experience, and it's larger than life. You know, one thing is smaller than you, the other thing is larger than you. You know, the screen in relation to you and your gaze. So I don't think those experiences can be changed. So it's just a matter of time. It's all cyclical. Everybody said, you know, when TV came, cinema's dead. Then video came, cinema was dead. Then surround sound, and LEDs came and it was dead. And I mean, it's just it's constant. So now this is that phase, and it'll change again.
Also, with in transit, there were different stories. There was a professional in Bangalore, and I also recently met a lawyer who was actually a drag queen by the evening, and I was like stunned. I mean, he's in court in the day, and in the evening he's this you know beautiful woman. And but do you think going forward will that also help in representation in the social narrative, whether it's a cinema, whether it's on stage, and also normalizing it? Because I could be speaking to anyone. Actually, I'm not focusing on what their gender and what their sexual preference is. I'm just speaking to them on a human level.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more you have series and shows like in transit, the more in a way like it normalizes. But I think also it is like the idea of gender expression, right, is such a personal thing, and I think let people express. Like, who are we to sit in judgment and be like, this is how you should be and this is how you shouldn't be, and it's a very personal expression, which is why there are so many types of that. There's no binary. There's many types. There are many colors in the rainbow, and there's space for all. So I think that's the main idea behind something like In Transit. And I don't recall anything like In Transit in the Indian media landscape that will, break as many boundaries and walls as this will, I think, eventually. So I think more, we need more. I think the more it is in your living room and the more you have intimate stories like this, the more you open up and you're like, yeah, this is somebody talking about love, and I'm here for it.
And Zoya, what about you? Why was it so important for, to lend your name and, and along with collaborator with Aisha for this now? And what do you hope it changes,
I mean, interviewing the women I did for Made in Heaven opened my eyes. That was one particular context. You know, I wasn't even speaking to them about their entire life or their journey or whatever. I was speaking to them about love, and their experiences with dating, and what they want and what they're looking for, and how people are treating them, and what the space is. So it was a very specific context for Meher's character. But I just found myself wanting more, wanting to speak more, wanting to know more, because they are part of my society only. I want to know how they're navigating this society, what's happening here. We are all coexisting. Why don't we know more? And it came out of that. It came out of curiosity, and it came out of a space where if I can, if I can enable space for it, why won't I? I should.
And I want to ask you both this question is what was this about India's, gender diverse communities that surprised or moved you that you earlier thought, damn, I actually had no idea? Because there were so many things that I had no idea. Now meeting people also, it's opening my eyes. It's like, now I'm just like, it's okay. I mean, they're all existing. So what was it that moved you and surprised you? Like, I had no idea.
Um, what surprised me was that when you are questioning your identity as a very young person, and most start to do it very young, um, you become somebody who's very engaged with the world around you. You are you are concerned about the world. You are concerned about how you express yourself. You know yourself more than there's no pretense, there's no farce. You know who you are. And I think that's something that's very inspiring to me, that our characters have a deep sense of authenticity to themselves. Um, And I think you spend your life, finding friends like that, which are real. And I think they're just real because they've asked questions of themselves since they were very young. Um, yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Me also, what I loved with what Aisha did was she had such a cross section of people. And, it's you always get that it's a Western phenomenon. It's a very urban phenomenon. It's a different mindset, but here I mean, of course, she has, uh, her techie character and her character who's working in Tata, and she has the urban characters, but the like Tina, she surprised me. Like she surprised me. And it's so heartland. I mean, she's from a nomadic tribe. And she's so articulate and so aware and so conscious and so somehow with all those experiences still so gentle in and patient in the way she's speaking and explaining and wanting to teach. That really surprised me, that level of awareness. And I can't even imagine the isolation she may have gone through. But that really, really surprised me. And also the fact that at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing. They want to be loved, they want to be respected, they want to earn a living in the most dignified way. They want space and freedom for their choices. Uh, they mind their own business, they want you to mind yours, and they want to basically just be part of the society in a functioning, healthy way. And that's no different from what I want.
I know,
So
absolutely. And what really irked me is also, which still happens, is so-called woke individuals tend to bully them, humiliate them. There are crimes happening just because someone you think is not like you. So this is how you put them down. So what responsibilities now do you think, because film is such a powerful medium, filmmakers have when you are documenting their lives going forward, the
mm.
marginalized communities, as we call them, what do you think are the responsibilities going forward in the narrative? Because sometimes, I mean, I'm not talking about Made in Heaven, and there is, you tend to caricature. There is, the way you represent them. What do you think is the responsibility going ahead?
I mean, I can only be responsible for myself, you know. You can't take on any other artist, you can't take on any other storyteller, you can't take on anybody else and tell them people what to do, because
Yes,
it doesn't work like that. And
yeah.
art is not like, people will express who they are and what they are through their medium. I don't think I can put any character out there without actually speaking and getting experiences from those people themselves, whatever kind of character they are, and I think that was a big learning that you don't really know. So sometimes just shut up and listen, you know. I think that's what is very important. Just shut up and listen.
That's a nice tagline for In Transit also, just shut up and listen,
Oh,
because
then
it's
like
just perfect.
that we are forcing it down their throat. Don't make the tagline. Do not make this. I was
But
speaking for
I'm
my.
telling you, I mean, what, less than 3.5 hours, I just sat riveted. I wanted to know. So, Aisha, before I wrap up, was there any point in the narrative that you stopped mid-direction and got emotionally overwhelmed? Because there were several points, but for you, as someone, somewhere you're not taking a, a non-judgmental lens also, but somewhere you yourself was like, let me just stop for a bit.
Many, many. There were countless. I think with every character, multiple times, not just me, but the crew, they were quiet, there were tears in eyes. People were just, you'd call cut and there was like silence in the room. Like nobody moved, nobody talked. It was just, there were many, many of those mic drop, penny drop moments. I think one moment that I remember vividly is when Aryan speaks to us and speaks to us about vulnerability, and that's what we're missing in the world is just to be vulnerable with each other. Uh, I think that moved everybody because it's just a basic thing, like to tell somebody I need you, like I need you, I want to talk to you, call me. And Aryan is coming from this place where he's talking about, families rejecting people because of their chosen gender or sexuality. And what does it take for somebody to be like, let's talk, let's speak? Basic, very simple. I think the way he explains it is beautiful. I think that was a moment that moved everyone.
Thank you so much. And last parting shot, if you could describe the essence of In Transit in one word, both of you, what would it be?
In transitive word, I don't know why, but gentle is coming to mind. Gentle, I think it's just
I think like
a gentle
truth,
entry in
truth,
honesty.
like
Yeah.
individual truth, maybe, like.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would tell everyone else to shut up and listen. Thank you so much, lady. I mean, this is
Thank
wonderful. Honestly, I haven't enjoyed something in such a long time, and I really mean it.
Thank you.
So,
That's
thank
really
you very
nice.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
Thank
much.
you, Pooja. And
Thank
have
you.
Thank
fun with
you.
the puppy.
Yes, I am. I am. Naughty boy. Give my love to Handsome. Bye.
I will. Bye.
If you've liked this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.